record button here. So we have an honored special guest with us tonight, Cim Carver, who is the Director of Sales for Beachbody. He is in charge of the East Coast. He mentors 6-star through 14-star. Is that correct?
Yep.
So he's one of my mentors that I talk to every week, and he gives me great guidance on leadership and other things. So I asked him here to talk to you guys, and he's going to talk to us for a while, and then hopefully answer some questions, and you guys can get a chance to beat up on corporate directly. So,
Great. I can never get enough of that.
Yeah. So take it away.
No, I'm just kidding, Greg. Well, I appreciate the chance to be here with everyone. Thank you so much. It's always an honor to be able to jump on these calls. I know you guys, you do them frequently, and I'm glad to be here. I really do value Greg and appreciate working with him. A lot of you guys probably know this, but Greg is a great advocate for you. He talks about you whenever we do talk. We spend most of the time talking about you, and so he's a wonderful coach for you. He is someone who thinks about you a lot, is super excited to have even more time to be working with you. And I think honestly, having the chance to sit where I sit, where I work with a lot of coaches, he brings a lot of unique things to your team as far as his organization, the way he thinks, the way he structures things for you, that I know he probably takes for granted, and maybe some of you even take for granted. But I'm here to tell you that you shouldn't, because they're not common the way that he does that. So kudos to you, Greg, and again, appreciate the opportunity to be here. A couple things. As I was trying to think about what to say tonight. This is always one of those things where I know a few of you, I don't know most of you. And so it's like, well, what can I say that will be of value to you? So there's a couple things that I wanted to hit on that I thought might be of interest to you. I'm going to start by sharing an experiment, or I guess there was an experiment done. I want to share with you kind of what this experiment did. It was actually something Michael Neiman actually also shared at the New Leader Conference we had earlier this year. And at first it's going to seem a little strange, but just stick with me because there's going to be a point to this. Sometime last year, I don't remember what time, in this research study, what they were trying to look at was the impact that belief and perception had on people and what they did. And so for a portion of this experiment, they had 2 boxes of rats, and they labeled one box of rats the smart rats, and they labeled the other box the dumb rats. And then they got some individuals, some people, some participants in this study, and they told them, they said, look, we've actually studied these rats, and this box over here, these rats have a higher IQ than these rats, right? And so we want to see how quickly these rats can go through this maze. Well, they hadn't really studied the rats. They were just rats. They just randomly put in these different boxes, right? And so I think you can probably see where I'm going with this. When the participants then worked with these rats to help them learn how to go through this maze, the amount of time and energy and attention that they gave to the smart rats was much greater than the ones they gave to the dumb rats. And as a result from that, the smart rats did finish the maze quicker, and they were able to have higher results from that. And one of the extrapolations they took from this study was the impact that people's perception has on their effort that they give, and really how they perceive things impacts their belief and their level of engagement. And so one of the things that I want to talk to you a little bit about tonight was about that. I want to talk to you about that in terms of diamond, and what does that mean? One of the things that we talk about when we talk about diamond, it's almost, and we talk about it in such a way sometimes that it almost feels like a finish line for people, right? They almost feel like, oh, a diamond. It's like, oh, I got the diamond. Okay. And one of the dangers in that sometimes is we can build a diamond in such a way that when we get there, it's almost like we're stuck. We haven't developed the right habits. We haven't developed the right skill set, the right belief in ourselves to be able to make diamond just kind of a stepping stone into a larger business for ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why you saw us earlier this year bring out the leadership ladder. And I know some of you have kind of started to see that and wondered what that is. Some people have wondered if it's a new rank, is it a new this or that? It's really, honestly, guys, what it is we wanted people to see from our side what the difference was between a diamond, who was a stable, consistent, strong diamond and was able to keep progressing, and one that was kind of stuck. And we developed these benchmarks that allowed people to be able to build and structure their business according to these targets. And I'm going to go over all the details of it right here with you. But what I want you to do, I'm going to ask you to do sometime this week, if you haven't already, is when you log into your Coach Online office, assuming you can. But when you log in there, on the leadership ladder tab, right on the dashboard there, at the very bottom, there's a link. And if you'll click on that link, it'll walk you through, if you haven't done this already, but it'll walk you through the leadership ladder, and it'll explain to you how to read it on your own report. And basically what you're going to see is that all it really is giving you some additional benchmarks beyond just hitting diamond, or beyond hitting 2-star or 5-star or coach or emerald, that you can start structuring into your business so that you can help your coaches start to position themselves so that they're able to continue growing their business. And so you can do the same thing. And just like that example with the rats, right? One of the things that you'll find is as you start to kind of expect more out of these coaches, you start to kind of realize that there's more to them, as you start dialing in these expectations with them, you end up increasing your results as a byproduct of that. And that sounds very simple, but in my years of doing this, that is actually kind of a key change that leaders go through. If we expect minimums, we get minimums. If we expect maximums, we get maximums. And so let's dial in our expectations so that we're getting the kind of results that we want to get, and both from ourselves and then also from our team. And the leadership ladder will give you the tool to help you do that. It'll talk about not just the rank, but what the income should look like. Personally sponsored coaches getting at least one Success Club point every single month. In other words, that are actually starting to duplicate and build their own business. Those type of things that will help you avoid some of the shortcuts that can cut you short in the long run, cut you off the knees. So anyway, that was the first thing I want to talk to you a little bit about. And what I'm going to open this up in just a minute to question and answer. So if anyone wants to ask questions on the leadership ladder, that's been something that people have been asking me about lately. And I'm happy to go into more details, but I didn't want to bore you guys to death too much with that. The second part of what I want to share with you tonight was something maybe a little bit more leadership related. I've been doing this type of thing now for a little over a decade in one form or another, working with people. I grew up in a network marketing, direct sales household. My dad was a teacher. I'm the oldest of 7 kids. And I don't remember a time, as a teacher, I don't remember a time when he didn't have at least 2 jobs. He usually had 2 jobs and a network marketing business on the side on the weekends. And I was a distributor for a while when I got old enough and kind of accidentally got onto the corporate side of this business model. And I've really enjoyed doing this. And over the years, I've developed some pretty strong opinions on the right way to build in this. And usually what I find when I work with coaches is one of their areas of stress is usually around tactics. They spend a lot of time stressing about tactics. And I think it's good. It's good to want to improve tactics, the specific things that we do. We need to spend time on that skill set. And that's definitely part of the advantages, again, you have with Greg. Greg is great with tactics. He understands these things. He gets these things. And those are definitely conversations to have with your coach on those specific tactics. But in my experience, tactics have never been the reason why someone succeeds or doesn't succeed in the business. And that might seem kind of weird to you, but I can't think of one example where because a person didn't have a perfect invite, they weren't successful. In fact, contrary to that, I've seen a lot of people who had very sucky tactics, were horrible with it, but still were successful. And over the years, what I've found to be true is there's before tactics, there are 2 other things that we really have to kind of address or make sure we have dialed in as coaches, okay? And I've really built this up like it's this big revelation. You guys are going to be super disappointed when I finally get to these points, but because they're pretty common sense, right? When I work with coaches, one of the first things that I do is I work on belief, okay? The reason why I work on belief is because we're in a people business first and foremost. 80% of the sell that you make to a customer is you. They buy into you before they buy into Beachbody. They buy into you and what you do and what you're about before they buy into necessarily what you're selling. And so if you don't believe really in what you're doing, if your conviction isn't strong, people can smell that. They can sense it. And it makes your job as a recruiter 100 times harder, okay, because you have to overcome a lot more doubt. Whereas if they sense your conviction, if they sense your passion, if they sense your commitment to it, then it tends to break down a lot of those barriers that maybe you've been running into. So I address belief, not only for the recruiting aspect of it, but because in my experience, the number one thing that dogs or is like an anchor for most new coaches especially is fear, okay? Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of putting themselves out there and not being successful, fear of being successful and what that looks like and if they can handle it, fear all over the place, okay? And it can take on a lot of different forms, but what that comes down to, the antidote for that fear every single time is belief. Belief and fear can exist in the same place. So if I can get a coach to really believe in not only what they're doing, but their own ability to do it, to allow for imperfections, to allow for them to be learning, but also believe that if they stick to it, that they're going to be successful. Well, a lot of these other problems, they're still there, but they resolve themselves a lot more expeditiously. And they become a lot less of a burden to the coach because they're able to engage more effectively in what they're doing. So the first thing we talk about is belief. So my question to you around belief is, do you believe in what you're doing as a coach? Can you look somebody in the face and honestly, with conviction, tell them that you believe in Shakeology, that you believe in the programs, that you believe if they do these things, they'll get the results and that the results will have a meaningful, positive impact in their life? Can you look at someone in the face with conviction and say that? Can you look at them and say that you believe that coaching is a good opportunity for people? It might not be for everyone, but for the people who are looking for that, you won't find something better. Guys, I've been around the block on this. I've never seen anything like Beachbody. Okay, I've been with Beachbody now for 6 months and 8 days today, actually. And I've never seen anything like Beachbody. Okay, there isn't anything like it for coaches. Or anything close to it, to be honest with you. And we can get to the reason to that and later on if you want to. But the point I'm making is do we have that conviction? Do we have that conviction? And the second part is that, do we have the belief in ourselves? Now, that belief doesn't mean we think we're perfect. That belief doesn't mean that we believe that we know everything. But that belief means that quiet confidence that we continually find excuses to feed, that says, look, if I just stick with this, I'm going to be successful. If I just stick with this, I'm going to be successful. I might have to learn. I might have to pay the price. I might have to get a little bit lucky. But at some point, if I stick with this, I'm going to be successful. And as silly as that mindset piece can be, just trust me on this. If you will work on that, okay, and I'll give you a strategy how to do that in just a second. But if you work on it, you're going to find your recruiting is a lot easier. You're going to find you're attracting different kinds of people to your business because you're going to be a little bit different. You're going to put out a different persona. You're going to put out a different ambiance. I don't know what the word is, chi, whatever, about yourself that's going to attract a different kind of people to you. And so one of the things that I teach coaches to do as far as belief is a concept I call winning the day, right? Which is at the end of the day, we look at ourselves and we find the things that day that we did that worked, that were successful, that were good. Specifically controllable actions that were aligned to our goals. We say, this is where we're trying to go. Here are the things that we can control. And at the end of the day, I just ask myself, did I do those things? I don't look at the outcomes because I can't control them, but did I do the things that I could control that were within my power to do? And if I did, I won the day and I feel good about that. I let myself feel like a winner. I let myself feel like a successful coach. And that starts to kind of change or continue to reinforce, if you're already there, that persona of winning and being successful. And that then puts out that same, belief to other people. And it comes through in your posts. It comes through in how you conduct yourself. It comes through how you carry yourself. It comes through in what you say. And it will make recruiting easier for you. So that's the first one, belief in themselves. The second thing that I teach, that I look at before we get into tactics, is I want coaches to understand themselves. All of you on this call see the world through filters that you have come through your own life experiences to hold, as true, or that you're just used to kind of filtering information that comes to your mind. The way people react to situations, the way that you react to situations, the way that you handle obstacles, the way that you handle stress, the way that you handle uncertainty. All of these things are built into you and you have habits that are built around those pieces, the more that you become self-aware yourself, the more that you can channel that, and the more that I should say it this way, the more you're self-aware and the more that you know why you do what you do, the more that you can say, look, I know that when I start to feel overwhelmed or self-doubt, I'm feeling that way because I'm in a situation where I don't know what's going to happen, and that makes me uneasy. I can drag those feelings out of the shadow. I can shine a light on them, and I can understand why I feel the way I do. Now I'm not a mystery to me. And that allows me then to channel those things into productive behaviors for myself, into productive efforts for myself. And so you've got to know yourself a little bit. You've got to have the courage to be honest with yourself. You've got to have the courage. That's why, the silly gems and the colors and all that stuff, these are all attempts not only at understanding other people, but understanding yourself so that you can understand what makes you tick, you can understand what that is, and you can be emotionally honest with yourself. After we go through looking at, belief in you and belief in what you're doing. And then we look at, understanding kind of more why you do what you do. At that point, now when we talk tactics, we've got a foundation that we can go from. Okay. And so as coaches, both for yourselves and for your own coaches on your team, as you come in, that gives you a little bit of a blueprint, right? We want to make sure that they understand their why. Why is the why important? Not just for motivation. It's not just so we can manipulate people to stay engaged with their business, but we want them to understand their why, because that's where they can start to believe in themselves. We can start to connect. This is important to you, and you have the power then to be able to make that difference, right? And then help them start to understand why they do what they do. And then when we start to train and teach on tactics, we're better prepared as leaders to help channel that effectively. So, Greg, those were the two messages I wanted to share with you guys. I want to give plenty of time for Q&A if anyone else wants to ask anything, but I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kim. We'll just open it up. So, just take yourself off of mute if you want to ask him a question. I'm sure people have a lot of questions for you. So, who wants to go first?
Or maybe not. This is the awkward moment where we all stare at each other on Zoom. It's like a game of chicken. Who's going to go first?
That's right. So maybe you could start by telling us why we are all coach rank in the back office.
Well, we like to mess with our coaches. We take a lot of perverse joy in I don't know. So, yeah. Obviously, we've had a rough technology week this week, you guys. I don't know all the details of it. I have a little bit of a tech background, so I understand what's happening. We have a bunch of different vendors. Let me address this. I've seen this question posted a couple times. They say, why does Beachbody stay up, but Team Beachbody goes down and has all these issues? Well, Beachbody, as just kind of a pure retail site, is a much easier backend to just process orders to store site. Team Beachbody not only has that piece, but then it has to bring in the genealogy, the commissions engine, and all those other pieces that kind of have to plug into that as well. And with those additional levels of complexity, there's more areas for issues. And some of the vendors that we use actually to provide this, just so you guys know, they were not built to handle a company that is as big and growing as quickly as Beachbody. So we're trying to get off of these ones and get onto better ones. But it's kind of like doing open heart surgery while on the back of a Jeep on an off-road excursion. And so you're trying to do it and not kill the patient, but do it as responsibly as you can at the same time. And so we're trying to treat the issues of the moment while also fixing the core problem. I know that doesn't, I don't want to be seen as giving excuses because it's never acceptable to us. But I want you guys to know that it is something we're aware of, not something that we're like, oh, shoot, whatever. It's something that is important to us. It is something. In fact, just this week, Carl had flown out to every single one of our vendors on our supply chain side to just give them hell and to just let them know that this is not acceptable. I mean, literally just dropped everything and got out there and was like, look, I know you're working with my guys, but now you're going to be talking to me about what's going on with these pieces and these other issues. This isn't acceptable, and trying to find other solutions and doing the things that we're trying to do. And so, for whatever it's worth, just know that it isn't acceptable to us. It's not something that that we're just kind of like, oh, whatever, that it is something that we're trying feverishly to make sure that we take care of for you. Not that that helps you when you have to have those hard conversations with your customers, and I hate the fact that you have to do that. But if it helps to know that we're doing what we can, I hope it does at least.
Are they looking at different fulfillment partners?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Again, the open heart surgery in the back of a Jeep on a mountain excursion is kind of where, I mean, but yes, that was part of the trips, and I don't know all the details, and I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to share, but part of Carl's trips this week were looking at other options, because we need to start getting ready to pivot if they can't live up to their promises, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you guys think about it, one thing that's interesting is we ship, I think right now we're doing about 32,000 orders a day. And so there's very few people who can handle that kind of volume. And so it just keeps increasing, and it grows so fast. It's not like we can just kind of pull a string and like, oh, we're going to go over here and we're going to go over here. But we try to do it responsibly. Okay. Someone chatted a question I saw pop up. So the ways to get over your fear, as you say, is to build your confidence more, be more confident in yourself and what you have to offer. You know, that's a really good question, Jessica. It's different for every individual getting over your fear. I think the first step when I tell people about that is a lot of times they don't realize their fear. If it's an obvious fear, a fear of inviting, a fear of rejection, those are the obvious ones. The less obvious ones that are equally as damning for people are fear of my own goals. I don't want to own my own goals. I'm afraid to kind of risk. I'm afraid to venture out. And so depending upon the fear, the first step always is to kind of drag it out of the shadows, and you'll realize that fear or uncertainty or apprehension, whatever you want to call it, it's just about the unknown. It's about something that might or might not happen in the future in most cases. And so the best way to handle that is to look at it for what it is, to own it, say that's something that makes me uneasy, and then make a plan to actually start attacking it. Because as you drag it out of the shadows and you look at it and you start handling it and you start confronting it, you start to realize that it's rarely even close to as bad as you thought it could be, if that makes sense.
Okay, there's another question in the chat from Brian on why do we have the previous online office and the coach online office, and stuff seems to go to the previous first before it goes to the coach, and why is there some features that is in the previous but not in new, and vice versa? So
that deals with some of the complexities on the back end pieces that we have. The previous online office was designed to try to help make it a little bit easier, and also to keep some of the legacy pieces in place for coaches, and also because they come from different vendors, to be honest with you. One of the things you'll see in the new online office that is coming, I've seen previews of it myself, is it kind of does away with that, and it kind of brings all the most used functions into one as well. So it does exist, just so you guys know. I have seen it. I played with it, and I think you'll like it.
Okay, cool. Who else? From Lisa.
Bounce my only lost everything else. I kind of build my business in Canada is Beach Bell well known. Okay, so as far as, well, I'm gonna say, so I think there's kind of two questions there, Lisa. First of all, congratulations, welcome to Beachbody. Excited to have you here. Great team you're on here with Greg and the gang. I think, one of the great things that you're doing that new coaches get a chance to do is you kind of start to build your own story with your own weight loss and your own experience. I would actually really encourage you to be hyper aware of your own experience right now, and start to help kind of craft your own narrative. What you're feeling, ups and downs, challenges. It's not just all highlights, all the different pieces that come through it. And I think that'll help you balance it, because part of that journey is balancing. We don't want you to live. You can't sustain something if you can't figure out a way to balance it. So balance it the best you can. As far as building your business in Canada, we did actually just opened Canada officially last year. It's a great market for us. There is a lot of information on the website for Canada. If you have a hard time finding that, just let me know, and I'll get the links to you. I can even get you in contact with the sales team that works over Canada. They've got several events and things that they do up there all the time. So as far as if it's well known, yeah, I think it's well known, but it's a new market for Team Beachbody. Where, while Beachbody's been there for a while and there's awareness of it, it's a new market for Team Beachbody and Shakeology and the coaching network that's just starting to go up there. But it's growing like wildfire right now. So it is a good place to build if you've got contacts up there. Cool. Mm-hmm. And luckily, it's actually a pretty easy market to build, and it's not too different from the U.S. We won't have that luxury as we go into other international markets, but Canada makes that easy. So UK, stay tuned. That's all I'm going to say. I cannot reveal, nor have I been given details because they probably know I'd be tempted to reveal, but stay tuned. As has been announced, we will be continuing our international expansion.
Yes. That would be a summon announcement, right?
It's definitely not going to come from me. That I would probably get in trouble if I started dropping those kind of pieces of knowledge on team calls. Especially ones that are being recorded, Greg.
That's right.
But yes, we are going to continue to expand internationally, and
UK would be
a good model for us is to look where our Beachbody business is out planting seeds for our coach network to come behind and harvest.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, Greg, these are some. I was ready for some crazy questions and stuff.
I know, they're giving you softballs.
You had prepared me from like some crazy stuff, but these guys are being nice to me tonight.
Okay, guys. KP says that the website says you ship everywhere, even Africa. Is that true?
I think Beachbody will, and I think that's a really good question. Actually, honestly, I don't know the exact details on that one, but I believe
I think Beachbody will, but not Team Beachbody.
Yeah, I think Beachbody will under the use. So internationally, they allow customs in all markets allow a certain amount. Well, most markets allow for what they call an NFR, or not for resale. It's for personal use products where you can buy from anywhere and import. But beyond that, especially if it was tied to some type of a business entity or something like that, something that might be resold, i.e. through a coaching network, then you have to get government regulation, government approval, customs, and all that kind of stuff that goes through. So it wouldn't surprise me. I believe Beachbody.com does, because that would be strictly NFR, personal use, whereas Team Beachbody would have to go through and make sure everything was registered before that took place.
Kim, maybe you could talk about the new lead program. Why was it changed?
So it's a really good question. So the new lead program, as some of you haven't heard, started in April. They're kind of upping the game a little bit to where you have to be in Success Club 5 for customer, Success Club 10 for Success Club leads. And so what the idea is, or what was happening, okay, for those of you that know, is as the coach network gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Those leads kind of get spread out. And so there was two things that kind of drove this. The first one was our active coaches that were engaged in actually building and out there proactive. And I guess I should say, let me qualify active. Active being that we're in a business acquisition mode. That's what I mean by active, right? That we're out proactively looking to build business. They were getting fewer and fewer leads. And on our side, we were giving out leads and then having people call us and say, I thought you said I was going to get a coach. No one's called me. Okay, because it was going to people who were in this business acquisition type of a mode for their own coaching business. And so since we, the easiest way, I guess, for us to identify which coaches are in those business acquisition modes is through Success Club. We know that if someone's getting Success Club, they're actually out there acquiring business, and a customer that comes to them, there's a higher likelihood that they're actually going to take that lead, follow up on that lead, and try to turn that lead into a coach or an ongoing customer for us. And so that's why that decision was made, to use that as a way of targeting, first of all, getting more leads to our more engaged coaches engaged in business acquisition activities, and as well as also making sure that those customers get actually handed off to coaches who are going to follow up them and contact them and do all that other stuff. So that's really what it was, Greg.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it wasn't, and I know there was some heartburn about it, as you'd expect with any change, but I think it was the right change for us, and I think in the long run it'll be a good change.
Hello.
Hey, a voice.
This is Priscilla speaking. Wanted to ask, how many clients do you assign each coach?
You mean by leads? Is that what you mean?
Well, as a new coach.
What's that?
As a new coach. So I'm a new coach, and so far I have been assigned by Beachbody one client. So I wanted to know, how do you guys go about assigning a client to each coach, or how many clients do you assign per coach?
Got it. I don't know if there's a specific number. It kind of depends upon the number of leads that we get coming to us, Priscilla. That's a good question. And again, like I just talked about, I'll actually be changing here in the next month. Hopefully that the ones that are really engaged in Success Club points and demonstrating that they are in that type of an acquisition mindset, we'll see more of those leads or clients get handed off to them. You're muted, Priscilla. You're muted.
There, I unmuted you.
Oh.
Got it. Sorry. I have a few people under me, and I have to say that a lot of them are not into the social media, which is really difficult, or they don't want to be part of any kind of groups or anything of that nature. They just want to do their workout and get the help. And I'm okay with that. I don't mind it. But obviously you want to succeed and make money. How can I push but not be too pushy?
Well, my response to that's always going to be, you're going to always get people to your business who are at different stages. And your job as a coach, let me put it this way, a successful coach takes each individual from where they're at and just tries to get them to the next step that's ahead of them right then. And once they get there, we try to take the next step. And a lot of times what that means is that we try to lead people how they need to be led and not how we like to lead. We look and we say, look, if the objective and the mission of the company is to help people live healthy and fulfilling lives and really achieve their goals, and if that's the case, let's live that. Let's align ourselves to that. Help them take that step that's in front of them. And I believe that as we pour value into them as individuals, their commitment level to us and to what we're trying to do increases. Their trust level increases. And a natural byproduct of that is them increasing their level of commitment and engagement with us. If they feel like for a second that maybe our motives aren't for their well-being, if our motives are selfish or things like that, then I think it's going to be a lot harder for you to be able to do that. And so I guess what I'm saying, simply put, is the best way for you to get what you want is to really just focus on helping them get what they want at that moment and taking that next step. That doesn't mean we don't push. That doesn't mean we don't invite. As a coach, your job is to help them make decisions and move forward. But aligning yourself to what their interests are is a good way to go. And I think if you'll do that, you'll never feel like you're being salesy or pushing people or forcing people to do things if you're aligned to where they're trying to go.
Thank you.
Yep. It's a good question.
Hey Kim, how you doing?
Good.
I have a question as far as the leads. I have several leads, I would say, this month, but I send them welcome letters and I haven't gotten any reply. Do you guys keep track of that?
No, they might actually. I'm not sure. I'd have to find that out, Armando.
Okay.
I'm not sure how much they circle back and actually find that out. So I can find that out for you if you'd like. Greg, maybe you can just follow up with me on that and I can get it to you and you can get it to Armando. Or you can just me on Facebook, Armando.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No problem.
There's also a question in the chat from Leanne.
Look it up here. Some people get rid of cable now. Is there any type of people having their own channel to stream workouts on? Yes.
Next question.
So, well, all I'm going to say is Beachbody On Demand is in its beta stage right now. Farther implementations down the line will include streaming channels on others' devices like that. So, hang tight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I was supposed to reveal that, so nobody tell anyone I told you that. But I got to give you guys something, right? I got to bring something to the table, right?
That's right.
And one more question. Now that you guys have all the workouts online, do you think it's take away from the coaches of making any money in regards to some people may not have to buy the DVDs anymore because it's easy?
Well, the way we look at it, honestly, is the same. For how they get the workout program, whether it's through an on-demand challenge pack or a DVD challenge pack, right? The idea is we're just trying to make it more accessible for them, and so does that make sense? So it's not like all we're looking is just an avenue of distribution for the fitness workouts to be able to get that to them. I think Casey asked a similar question right there. So what does this mean for coaches? It is always going to be a little bit. Guys, at some point we're going to have to go away from DVDs because at some point DVDs are going to be like cassette tapes. Some of you might not know what cassette tapes are. My 9-year-old found some cassette tapes in my house, and he was like, "What the heck are these things?" And it took me a minute to explain to him what they were. But so that's where these challenge packs, these other pieces. But that's also part of the reason why we're introducing on demand, but we're coming at it a little bit more of a piece because we don't want our coaches to feel threatened by this. We want them to actually see how it's going to actually work out for them. Okay, and so they'll continue. Actually, we think it'll actually increase the turn of the amount of commissions you make from club. It'll increase a lot of the stickiness for your coaches, your customers with you. It'll increase your retention, and we think it'll give you greater opportunities to be able to get people on Shakeology and using the other commission generating pieces of your business.
Thanks. I think I have one more.
Great.
And one of my clients who was trying to sign up under me so I can be her coach.
Yep.
She went online. I gave her all the information and told her step by step what she needed to do. Unfortunately, she says that she was having a difficult time, and now she's like, forget it. I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
A way that I, on my end, can transfer her under me or no?
What do you mean transfer her under you?
Pretty much so I can be her coach.
So did she sign up?
She signed up. She was assigned to a coach, but the coach never got in contact with her, and so it wasn't working out. And so I sent her an email with my information and what she can do, and she was on board. But unfortunately, she says that she was having a difficult time online.
So is she a customer or is she a coach?
She's a customer.
Okay. Yeah. So I would encourage her. I always tell people, encourage them to try to get with a coach they're with. If she doesn't want to, there's options that she can do as a customer. She's not compelled to have to stay with. I would just encourage her to contact Coach Relations, and they can walk her through whatever she wants to do.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, hold on here. Okay, and some of my customers didn't get TNA Fix or Extreme as my purchase program package. So I don't understand, Brian, what you're saying here. So you're saying some of your customers didn't get the Beachbody On Demand, like the 21-day Fix or Fix Extreme on their Beachbody On Demand? Is that what you're saying? Is that it? Okay. So Brian, so all the programs on Beachbody On Demand are going to be rolling out. Okay, there'll be an element to it called purchase programs, where if you buy the DVDs, it'll actually make them accessible on the on-demand channel as well for the customers. So they'll have both. If for some reason they didn't get the programs they purchased, whether it was on demand or whatever it happens to be, we just need to let them know. But not all the programs right out of the gate are going to be available on Beachbody On Demand, if that makes sense. So.
But I assume that there's going to be a way to unlock them so that they don't have to buy the DVDs. They can
absolutely.
21-day fix.
Absolutely. But that's going to be, again, in some other iterations. So basically right now, between now and Summit, they're going to be slowly introducing those types of features the full initial version of Beachbody On Demand will be kind of done by Summit, and they'll handle a lot of these. You'll see more of these challenge pack options, the purchase programs, things will all be there. It'll be a little bit more full offering.
Mhm.
I think so, Brian. I think it's just T25. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so right now. I haven't looked at it in the last little bit. Okay.
Okay, well, I think we've pretty much taken enough. Maybe one more question.
Okay. Do I know why they took the commission away from the sampler packs? Now that they have this one, I know they. So I'm not on the first one. I'm not sure. That probably happened before I got here. I've only been here for 6 months, so I'm not sure exactly on that first one. But I do know they are talking about the customizable sampler pack. As you can appreciate right now with the supply chain challenges that we're having right now, we don't want to throw that into the mix where they'd have to pick and pack a customized sample pack to be able to get those out the door. So that is something that's definitely on the drawing board that's they're waiting to do, but they need to get some other pieces in place first for that. So, okay, great thinking though.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Kim. And if anybody has any other questions for Kim, just shoot them to me, and I can forward them over to Kim, and we'll get you a response.
All right. Hey, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your time, and have a good one.
Thank you, Kim.
Take care, guys.
All right, man.